Welcome back. Now let us wrap up our lesson by starting with the concept map recap. The first thing to consider is that we looked into the various forms of ownership: your private company, your personal liability company, your public company, non-profit, not forgetting your sole trader and partnership. But the focus of the lesson was to look into the impact of how each form of ownership would be managed and how they would pay tax, how they would be able to obtain capital, how they would share the profit, and also how the legal environment or legislation would implicate the different forms of ownership. Now, what was our new words and language recap there? We looked into what the tax implication mean. This is the tax requirement for each form of ownership to say how does each form of ownership pay tax, which will determine the impact of taxation on the business success or failure. We looked into management to say each form of ownership impacts on the management function, which determines the success or failure of the business. Because we know that with the sole trader, there's no implication as such because this is a business owned by one person. But with partnership, we know that in terms of taking decisions, this can be time consuming because of the involvement of other partners. So that can impact on the success of a partnership. But capital, we're talking about the idea that now it refers to the ability of each form of ownership to obtain capital from various sources. For example, can they use their own, or can they can they borrow capital from financial institutions? So this is the amount of capital that can be sourced, meaning how much amount can they get to start the business, which will impact on the success or failure of the business. We also address division of profit, which refers to how profit is divided between owners, shareholders, or investors. We also looked into legislation or legal requirements, which refers to how easy it is for each form of ownership to be established before it can legally do business. So that is what we mean over there. Then, common errors. Recap. Many learners fail to identify the correct form of ownership from a scenario that is a challenge, and learners provide unclear responses on how each criteria can contribute to the success or failure. What is key to note is that if you fail to identify the correct form of ownership, it means you would be providing incorrect, now again, criteria. Maybe if there's a follow-on question to say identify now how the particular form of ownership from a scenario, after identifying it, you'll be expected to explain how maybe division of profit can now contribute to the success or failure. So if you have identified an incorrect form of ownership, that will lead to you losing all your marks. So be careful and identify the right or the correct form of ownership. Then, challenging question, explain how capital and taxation can contribute to the success of a non-profit company. So with that being said, this becomes the end of our lesson. Hoping this education will be used effectively. And remember, use these platforms repeatedly so that you become the best that you are. Thank you for watching. Keep well. Goodbye.